Hi everyone. I'm going to show you in just a second how to take this lovely image, and it looks like the rock in the middle is blue, but actually this is the original. So before, after. So actually what I did is just to cheat a little bit, and it wasn't really cheating, but to show you what I did, I actually have two layer masks here interacting because I've got the color of the blue rock right here, but I've subtracted an area in the center. So I'm going to show you how I did that. It's actually pretty easy once you know how. Right, so I'll go back to my versions, and I've got my edits, and I'll just click back on the original and apply it. Okay, so start here, right? So I've got my masking tool. I'm going to click here, but this time I'm going to choose a radial gradient, and nothing's going to pop up. You have to create it. So I'm looking at this gray rock, and I'm like, okay, the center is about here, and I'm just going to start to drag, and you can see I've created a pretty decent circle. I can move this around, and if I want to, I can kind of modify it a little bit. And for this, I'm not worried about too much about perfection, but I am going to kind of check out over here, you know, the feather. So if I bring it up here, I get a kind of a sharp line, a sharp edge, whereas if I bring it in, I get this. So let me show you what difference that makes. So with the sharp edge, if I go in with the color, and I'm just going to change the temperature, and you can see the rock in the middle is getting blue too. It gives me a sharp edge. So if I click done, I get kind of a sharp edge, which sometimes doesn't create the best lines. It's pretty unforgiving. Well, what I love about these edits is that I can go back and modify them. So I'm back now in my version, not my versions, my masking tool, and I'm working on that specific mask right there. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to just gently feather what I already had, and you can see that it kind of dissipates. So if I hit done and make that kind of disappear, see how I lose that edge there, and it's a little bit more forgiving. The only problem is I've got a nice blue rock, but also it turned the rock on the top blue. I don't want that. So I am going to add another layer mask on top that's just for this one. So I'm going to click over here again, hit the plus to create a new layer mask. And this time I'm going to go back and apply a brush. So it's a combination here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, right here, I want to mask this out. And I'm going to go back and adjust that color. So I'm going to come in here, do that. And I went too far. I always go too far. Come in with my eraser tool and just kind of clean that up so I'm not accidentally masking out the wrong spots. And maybe bring this back in a little bit. See, sometimes I have to zoom in. I wish I had a steadier hand, but hey, that's okay. That's a little bit better. You know, again, when in doubt, just zoom in a little bit when you're doing this kind of stuff. And now that I have that, okay, so I am going to now go back to color, and I'm going to mess with my temperature, and look at that. I just move that back this way. I can see like some bleeding right there, so I could definitely come back with my mask and sort of clean this up a little bit more if I needed to. So it's a very forgiving process because you can always go back and fix it if you need to, but already there we are. That looks very much like a blue rock sitting in between a top rock on the light. And of course, once I'm all done, you know, once I have this, and again, if it takes a moment to process, give it the moment. So even though I press done, nothing's happening. Sometimes it's just like, this is an edit that I created on the iPad, but it's actually editing it on a computer somewhere else, and it's uploading it. So I find sometimes there's just like a delay. So give it the time and let it happen. And I'm going to pause it. Okay, so now it's good to go. And now I could go ahead, and if I needed to, I'm going to start adding like maybe a global edit to this. Not really have to do much, but just to kind of give it a little bit of a, oh, that looks really, really good. Just like that. And now that I have that, once again, I'm going to go ahead and create a version and save it. And then, of course, before, after. Pretty cool, people. So that's how you do it.